Hey guys, one of the biggest things that people have been talking about and asking about is spotting a flooded car. We would like to think that the dealers and the car lots in our area haven't turned around some of the hundreds of thousands of cars that flooded during Harvey. But we know, because of the location where we are today, which is Auto Exam in Webster, they do pre-checks on these cars before people buy them, and they have stumbled on 42 out of about 700, which is still a large number, and that should make everyone stop and think, okay, I really need to do everything I can to make sure I don't get caught buying a car like that. So Chris Basso, he is from CARFAX, here on his shirt, and Chris is going to walk us through some very basic things that all of us can do. If you're out in a car lot, you see a car you like, let's say, for example, this Subaru behind us.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful, isn't it? All right, so what do we first check for before we even get a CARFAX report or take it to a mechanic to check it out? We're gonna have to scoot in kind of close, but what do?
You want to focus on 3 areas of the car.
All right, 3 areas.
You want to go to the engine.
Let's go.
All right.
We're going to the engine.
Pop the hood. And what you're going to look for in here are a few things. First, you're going to look for a water line. That's usually around the firewall in the front. If you see evidence of that, that means water probably got in this car. You're going to look for excessive signs of rust or corrosion, especially with Harvey. There was salt water that was included with those floodwaters. So that's going to start to corrode the electrical connections on the battery.
So you're looking for gunk.
You're looking for gunk,
and
you're looking for corrosion.
We're not talking about like leaves and things that everybody
That's going to happen
gets.
any day.
Okay.
Everyday stuff. You're looking for mud, silt, things that come with floodwater that shouldn't be inside the engine compartment.
Can you almost see like a water line? I mean, that's something that you can almost see as well if you look real close.
It's very hard to clean that off, so yeah, you're going to see a distinctive line where the water came up and stayed, and that's hard to clean off unless you're actually power washing the engine, which a lot of people aren't going to do if they're looking to clean that car up and sell it quickly.
Yeah, and really this is an investment that you're making buying this car, so it doesn't matter if it's like an awkward moment with the car dealer. If you want to get all this stuff checked, you should do it. More stuff right over here in the car. Chris is going to get in this car and show us everything we should check for.
Yep.
So here we go.
So you basically want to go front to back.
Yep.
So you start in the engine compartment, then you come in here to the inside. Pay close attention to the inside of the car. The biggest signs of flood damage are going to be right here on the inside.
Some of these guys are good though at cleaning out cars, are they not?
They are, but nothing's perfect.
Okay, fair enough.
Honestly, so if you want to pay attention to the metal parts of the car.
Okay.
On the inside. The seat rails here, push the seat all the way back. Look at the nuts and bolts, any of the metal connections here. If these are excessively rusted, that's a good sign that floodwater was in this car. Even a short time after, these parts start to rust. So you're gonna see that. And then another key, which is really hard to clean, but easy to get to, this plastic part that connects the door frame to the carpet. Run your hand under here. We know this car wasn't flooded, there's nothing there. Usually you're gonna see mud, silt, even condensation that's still sitting in there.
Yeah.
That's a sure sign that this car was underwater.
We're actually going to go on TV as well, and we have 1 minute to the top of the show. So we have about 6.5 minutes before they're telling me in my ear that we're going to actually do this on TV as well. But in the meantime, we're going to stay on Facebook, and we're going to keep walking you through. Okay, so 1, 2, what next?
3. Trunk.
Trunk?
Trunk.
Trunk.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
I don't know that this was unlocked, so hey.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's locked. It's locked. Hold on. Hold on. My bad.
The problem is being alive, right? So you're gonna go to the trunk, and you're gonna look where the spare tire is in particular.
Okay.
So lift up the spare tire wheel well. Anything in here, if you see mold, especially black mold, starts to form really quickly if water's sitting in here. If you see condensation, standing water, or black mold on anything, run away. That car's been underwater. It's something you don't want.
And really, when you go through these checks right here, if you start to see some signs of water damage, you don't even need to bother with CARFAX. You don't even need to bother with taking it to a mechanic because you already know you don't want this car.
If you start to see any sign of flood damage, you gotta go. You gotta go because that car's literally rotting from the inside out, and it's a problem you don't want to have.
Okay. All right, here's something that I'm not sure a lot of people realize, and if I'm kind of stalled a little bit, it's because I'm listening to the newscast in my ear as well, so I'm trying to do 2 things at once here. Pre-Harvey, right?
Yep.
Before this storm even hit, Houston, what? Tell us.
I'm gonna ask you, what was the #1 state in the country that had the most flood damage cars?
Well, Texas.
Texas.
So Texas, this is pre-Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And what was the number one city in Texas that had the most flood damage cars? Yes,
Houston.
51,000 cars in Texas before Harvey were flood damaged from other storms. Half of those were right here in Houston.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this, Chris.
50%. It's huge. I mean, those are massive numbers. This is before Harvey, and we're talking probably several 100,000 cars from Harvey, in addition to these already 50,000 and 25 right here in Houston.
And here's something that I've read about quite a bit. A lot of people are thinking, okay, well, these are probably the cars that they're seeing here are Harvey cars, but we're going to get Hurricane Irma cars from Florida. What's the deal with that?
Flood cars don't stay just where the flood happened. They move from state to state.
And there's a reason for that.
Because it's easier to sell them. They get clean titles, even though the state where the flood happened may have issued already a branded title, should say flood or salvage on top of it. But people manipulate those papers. They move to different states so they can get that information removed from the title. But if you get the CARFAX report, once it's reported to us, it stays on the report forever, no matter what somebody does to the paperwork itself.
Got it. That's title washing. Is that what that's called?
Exactly right.
Okay. I tell you what, we're going to have to jump in front of the camera as I have this microphone and do television. Y'all can watch some of what we're doing, but in the meantime, I'm going to find the guys. We're gonna include these guys. Hey, Scott. Facebook Live right here.
Hi.
Can you, and Shane, when you get him over here, will y'all start talking and explain to everybody that's watching now the magnitude of what you've been seeing? And for those of you that think, oh, wait, something about these guys might sound familiar, if you scroll down on the KHOU Facebook page, you'll see the video that we posted that they shot, what, a week or so ago?
About a week ago.
Finding water in some of these cars. I mean, like blatant, like puddles of water. So
There's
Shane,
a goldfish in this one.
So, right, the goldfish. Y'all take over here for a second. We're going to do TV, but talk about what you've been seeing. Okay? Talk to yourselves, talk to that phone right there.
Well, we're looking at about 55 to 65 cars a day on inspections. And it's all hands on deck, and we're finding flooded cars. We're finding, of course, through our pre-purchase inspection, we're finding all types of, problems with cars that dealers are selling to the public, to the Houstonians, and that's basically what we're doing.
We work with a lot of credit unions in the Houston area, and a lot of these credit unions are wanting inspections done or strongly recommending having an inspection done on their vehicle because of all the flooded vehicles here in the Houston area. I believe I've heard we've had probably approximately a million vehicles that have been flooded with Hurricane Harvey, so that's what we're doing here all day, every day. And
12 hours a day.
And we've actually, you won't believe this, but we've already found 42 flood-damaged vehicles being sold from dealerships to Houstonians, hardworking Houstonians, right here in our office here in the Clear Lake area.
And to add to that, of those 43, we have also found brand new cars. The youngest one had 14 miles on it that was flooded. Yeah, 14 miles. So
let's walk you through and show you how we do it.
Come on.
Jamie, this is Jamie Browder right here. This is show her about your mill gauge inspection.
Yes, so
Basically
this little tool right here measures the thickness of the paint, so we're able to tell if the vehicle's been repainted or if it's been in a collision. So we'll go around the vehicle in various places, measure the paint thickness, and then we compare it to other areas of the vehicle. As you can see, the paint here is only reading 5 mils, whereas the paint back here is reading 7. So there's a good chance this has been painted. So we'll look for other things like tape lines, things like that to verify that this has been painted, but it appears this panel has probably been repainted. Yes, we're up to 9.5. So this panel has definitely been repainted on this vehicle.
If you walk around this way right here, I want to show you how we're checking for flood damage as well. So we've got Scott Matejka over here. What we're doing is removing the rocker panel covers as part of our inspection. And one of the best ways that you can determine flood damage or not is actually going underneath the carpets. If the carpet padding is dry and soft, it's probably never been wet. If it's hard and brittle, then typically that means that the carpets have been wet, they've been pulled out, dried on a fence line somewhere, and put back in. And we've seen a lot of that here in the last 3 weeks. So yeah, we just go underneath here like this. Get about elbow deep in there and make sure that that padding is soft and dry, and this one is. And that's just one of the many checks that we do for flood damage. But one of the biggest things that we do as well is we check for water lines or what we call debris lines. Once water rises up and it has grass and dirt in there, and after it settles, on the undercarriage of the vehicle, a lot of times you can see a water line underneath it. So that's another telltale sign of flood damage. If you come around here, Scott, what do you got? You have anything?
Same thing. I'm sticking my hand underneath this carpet right here. I'm checking underneath. I'm feeling right there to see if we've got any wet carpet or anything. We do not have any wet carpet. While I'm here, then I'm looking under the dash, looking for any kind of obvious rust, moisture, anything where it could be trapped, and none found here.
So you guys had mentioned that you guys found 43 cars so far, but how many typically do you find in a year?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question.
In a year?
That's a good question for you.
I would say in a year, 3, 2. I mean, you know, and a lot of them are not necessarily flooded cars. It's from where people have left their windows open, and you know, or you have a seal or something that's bad. You know, we were just devastated with Harvey, so now we're finding more flooded cars.
There's been a lot. Walk around this way. We'll show you some more things as part of our auto exam pre-purchase inspection. Not only do we check for flood damage, but we're also looking for testing the battery as well, testing the alternator, doing a battery load test, making sure that the electrical system is working properly. One of the biggest concerns on a flood damaged vehicle is actually electrical issues. So that's part of our check as well.
And then we're also looking, when we check the oil, check the fluids, we're looking for intermix. Intermix would be with water, of course, and the fluid that's lubricating the motor, transmission, things like that. And we've got clean oil and no intermix.
Okay, let's, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take over this vehicle right here.
Okay.
Another telltale sign of flood damage, if you'll walk with me this way. We want to check, here, come on over here. Here's another vehicle that just came into our shop. Hey, can you unlock this vehicle, Casey? What we try to do is we look at the bare metal parts on the vehicle, underneath the seats, underneath the dash, to make sure that they're not rusted or corroded. When a vehicle's been wet and in high water, it will have excessive corrosion on the bare metal parts. So, so typically we want to look underneath the dash at bare metal parts, which I know you can't see, but we also want to look underneath the seats. And if you look underneath here, in fact, I'm going to grab your phone right there, the producer's phone. You can look underneath these seats and look for excessive corrosion underneath there, and I see absolutely nothing at all. This one is clean, and I don't see any issues there at all.
Are we still live? Mm-hmm.
We are still live, yes,
ma'am. This is a new car.
Absolutely, yeah. We're inspecting a lot of new cars for financial institutions, a lot of used cars.
Yeah.
I believe this is a used, fairly a 2-year-old used truck, but yeah, that's what we're looking for. Just trying to make sure that these vehicles are in good condition.
Let's step out. Are in good condition.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yep.
And just don't have any major mechanical issues or flood issues as well.
Does everyone know who you are? Can you tell everybody who you are, where you're located, and all of that information?
Yes, my name is Shane Vaughn, and I'm the president of Auto Exam Automobile Services, and we're thank you. And we're located here in the Clear Lake area, actually in the city of Webster. We're actually Houston's oldest and largest pre-purchase inspection company, and that's what we're doing here today, just trying to help consumers find good new vehicles, good used vehicles, and making sure that they're buying a good quality car.
I would guess that at this point we probably have some questions. Have you seen any questions? We can't see it on there.
See, there's nothing popping up.
Okay.
It says we have some, but
I know. Swipe left. What?
Hey, Chris.
Hold on a second, guys. Hang on.
Swipe left.
We have 25.
See, I've been trying. If you swipe left more.
So we're having some technical issues. Everybody looks surprised. I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to probably pull out my computer, and then we'll be able to look at them there. And because I feel like this is a really good opportunity for people to get some free advice, some good advice for free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have.
If you hold it, I'll go grab my phone.
Okay, all right. So thank you. All right, so Chris Basso from CARFAX is actually holding the phone now.
Jack of all trades. Look at that.
Nice. I pulled you out here because it's a little bit loud in there.
Yeah, so really, yeah, if you wanted me to just walk you through a little bit of our inspection service and how we can help consumers out there, I can share a little bit of what we're doing here. Really, we test drive these vehicles to make sure that they're shifting properly. A lot of times, if you get water in the transmission, the transmission will actually slip and not go into gear properly. So that's one of the first things we do. Secondly, we'll actually pull the vehicle up in the shop, we jack the vehicle up, and we're really looking for a water line, or what we call a trash line that's left over from the flood, and we have caught quite a few of them here. In fact, we've caught 42 or 43 vehicles already in the last 3.5 weeks.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yes.
Because it's hard for people to understand this. So you're saying that cars that are for sale in small car lots, big car dealerships, everything in between, somebody's saying, I want to buy that car, I'm going to get my mechanic to take a look at it. They bring it over here, and you find...
And we find all kinds of flood damage. Yes, and they are coming from big dealerships here in Houston, small dealerships. We're finding cars that still have water in the carpets, that still have water in the trunk, not even cleaned out. It's ridiculous.
So, well, I mean, obviously, someone once called it putting lipstick on a pig, right? Have you heard this terminology?
I have heard that term, actually.
Lipstick on a pig.
There's a whole lot of
right?
lipstick on some of these pigs.
It's sad. I'm sorry.
It is sad.
It's really, it's as if people here aren't victimized enough.
I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, think about this. These are people that have basically had their homes taken from them from Hurricane Harvey. They've had their vehicles flooded. They're coming to us to buy a new flood damaged vehicle, and coming to find out this dealership is selling them a vehicle that's been flooded. It's crazy.
You send them back over there with it's a report that you give them at the end, right?
Yes, we actually have a written report of the vehicle's condition that our technicians will actually write up. I think they're a little shy right now, stepping away from the camera, but they'll write up a written report of that vehicle's condition, telling you what kind of condition it was in, whether or not it's been flooded, whether it has mechanical issues, and maybe it's been in a wreck. And we catch a lot of wrecked vehicles as well here in the Houston area.
But you don't actually say to people, oh, heck no, you better not buy this thing.
We do not.
You just give it to them and say, you decide.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Auto Exam actually gives you an unbiased, honest opinion of that vehicle's condition. And that's what we do.
It sounds expensive. So talk to me about what your prices are.
Yeah, so here
it does sound expensive.
Well, actually, it's not. If you think about this, you're about to drop $20,000 on a used car, maybe $30,000, $40,000 on a new car. Right now, we're doing a discount for Hurricane Harvey victims. It's $109 for a complete 1-hour mechanical inspection.
Is that grand total?
Vehicle. That is grand total, $109. That is it. So that's peace of mind. You're about to drop 20 grand on a car. Why not spend $100 and have it checked out?
What kind of proof do I have to show you that I'm a victim of Harvey?
Oh, actually, we're just taking everybody's word. As they come in, we just charge them the $109 price. That's it.
Okay. Do we have some questions yet? And maybe we can turn this around. Let me grab the phone.
There you go.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, we know that some of you have questions, and honestly, I even talked about this on TV, so we're going to make sure that we see some of them. Yes?
So,
okay.
What much does they charge? Where are you located?
All right.
Okay. Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
tell us again. Give us your location because people do want to know where you are.
Yes, it's Auto Exam Incorporated. We're at 17555 El Camino Real.
Yep.
That is actually in the city of Webster, which is the Clear Lake area. And you do have to call in for an appointment to do an inspection. If you're calling in the afternoons, it's usually the inspection's done usually the first thing the next day. So it's about a half a day response time. And again, it's $109, not our normal price, for any Hurricane Harvey victim.
I'm also going to step back here and get Chris Basso, who is with CARFAX, because he was kind enough to fly in today from D.C., like literally got off the plane, got in a rental car, and came over here. There are some free things that CARFAX offers as well for people to check.
Yeah.
Everyone loves free, so can we talk about the free things first?
Just like these guys are making sure that people aren't, getting a flood damaged car, we want to make sure people aren't doing the same thing up front.
Yeah.
So go to carfax.com/flood. You can type in the VIN of any car. We're going to tell you if any flood damage has been reported to us for that vehicle. whether it's
CARFAX.com/flood.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a free check right on the top. You're going to find out if there was flood damage reported by a State Department of Motor Vehicles, by an insurance company, even a repair shop that found flood damage on a car. If it's reported to CARFAX, it's going to show up in that free check. And then you want to take it to your mechanic and get it inspected as well.
Absolutely. And Chris, how long does it take for you to get that information reported to CARFAX?
As soon as it's reported to us, we add it to our database. And we're on the ground right now, boots on the ground here, collecting VINs, working with the manufacturers, working with the insurance companies, making sure that information is reported and made available to consumers for free, because this is such an important deal. These cars literally rot from the inside out, and you don't want to have those things breaking down on you, right?
Absolutely, and exactly right. And I like what you said, rotting from the inside out. A lot of times you'll have electrical issues after the fact. Yes, you're trying to clean out the vehicle, you tried to get the water out of the vehicle, but people don't realize how many wires and wiring harnesses and electrical components are underneath the carpet and the center console on a vehicle. So absolutely, I mean, it could be a nightmare for months and months down the road. Not just now, months down the road. You do not want to get stuck with a flood damaged vehicle.
And something to clarify, because I think there's a little confusion about this. Some cars are totaled, right? We know this, and they'll total a car. Other cars might have some water in it.
Yes.
But
the insurance company didn't total it? Is that what you're trying to say?
Right.
Well, absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry, go right ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, or they didn't have comprehensive insurance on the vehicle.
Absolutely.
So nothing's being reported at all because the insurance company is not covering the loss of that car.
And
Some of the, go ahead,
yes.
go ahead.
And when that happens, that's when you need to have a mechanic put their hands on that vehicle, because that's not the type of information that's going to be reported because they didn't have insurance. So really the only way to detect that at that point is to have a mechanic, your trusted mechanic, look at that vehicle for you, get underneath the carpets, make sure there's no water lines underneath the dash, underneath the undercarriage, and make sure that that you're taking it to a good quality place.
all right, guys, we have some questions here.
Yes,
Tammy
yes.
wants to know where on the vehicle is the best place to spot that water line.
Okay, well, for a mechanic, the best place a lot of times can be underneath the vehicle, but if it's higher than the undercarriage, really you want to look underneath the dash. You want it just depending on how high the vehicle got. But we have found water lines here in the last 2.5 weeks, 3 to 4 inches on the kick panels, which is right by your feet, all the way up to the bottom of the glove box. So that water line or that trash line can actually be that high. In fact, we've seen some that are in the middle of the dash on some vehicles. So that's a great question.
Julie wants to know what guarantee is there that you're correct.
What guarantee? Well, again,
That's not a bad question.
no, I think that's a great question.
Yep.
All I can tell you is ourselves are, if you bring it to us, we're a trusted inspection company. We've been here 25 years. We didn't just open the doors yesterday. We know what we're doing. We train our technicians properly to look for flood damage. So are you trusting us or another technician to do that? You absolutely are, but my guys are the best of the best.
And nobody's perfect, but if you're doing your own test drive and looking for signs of flood damage yourself, if you're getting the information from CARFAX and you're having a mechanic inspect it, that's your best protection. Nothing is perfect, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but if you want to best protect yourself, do those 3 things first.
I agree.
Somebody had also asked earlier, you guys had mentioned about how quickly the bolts will rust. They said it'll already be rusted.
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to talk about that. It just depends on the type of metal that is, but especially underneath the seats. Look underneath the seats of that vehicle, that potential vehicle that you're thinking of buying. If there's an excessive amount of rust or corrosion on that, there could be a good possibility that vehicle has been wet before. Not just a little bit, but if there's an excessive amount, that's a big telltale sign.
Jeff has a question about, okay, let's say you go through this whole process, you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm essentially getting ripped off here.
Yep, right.
Do you report it? What do you do about it?
Yeah, you definitely want to report
And who do you report it to?
You can let us know. You can go to our website, carfax.com/help. We want to know if you found a flood damaged car. Let us know, and we can add it to the Carfax report if it isn't already there. But if you're looking for recourse as well, contact the state's Department of Consumer Affairs. Contact the Attorney General. Let them know that these flood damaged cars are for sale and where you found them. And we talked about protecting yourself. If you want to protect yourself, your better bet and to have more recourse is to go to one of these reputable dealerships, because if, by God, one of these cars slip through the cracks, you're going to have more recourse going to them, buying from them, versus somebody you found on an online classified site or on the side of the road.
Absolutely. And instead of being reactive, I would rather be proactive. Do these things first. Don't go out and just, hey, I'm going to buy this car and you know what, I'm just going to take my chances. do these things. You run a Carfax report, have your trusted mechanic do an inspection, if not us, someone that you've trusted for a long time, to make sure that you're not stuck with that problem vehicle, for the next year and have to deal with the State Department.
Yeah, it's a headache.
Can we do, and we can do it either with this car or
Yeah.
this car, give us the quick, fast and dirty check. I know both of y'all
okay.
are kind
Scott,
of
let's do it right here.
well-versed in
Go
this,
for
but-
it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're
I'm
going
going
to
to turn it over to Scott Mateka. Welcome around. Show
Scott
him- just show him
Mateka
what
is like
things
a
we do.
comedian on the side, by the way. But anyway,
He's our funny guy around here.
He's going to
our
talk
funny guy.
about
We call him
things that
Smalls.
you can do if you're looking at a car before you even bother going to these guys. Things you can do to check, right? All right,
Things,
so here goes
things
Scott.
you could do a real quick, simple check. Look at that spare tire. Look at the jack. Some of those jacks are going to show the rust. Look down in the tire well. You want to look deep down there, see if there's any water. This is typically one of your lowest points of the automobile. So this is one of the first places you look, or should look, as a quick, simple check before you take your car to a mechanic or an inspection, facility.
Oh, got it?
Yep.
All right. What next?
I was going to say,
They'll be more gentle with your cars here.
So, hey, Walker, Casey, show him intermix. So,
I also look at headlights. I look at fog lights. This vehicle's not equipped with fog lights. And I'm looking for anything that could be, that'll show moisture.
Like a little condensation?
Condensation,
like,
absolutely.
Kind of foggy a little
exactly,
bit, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking for those things
And
as a quick walk around.
Okay.
now, very, very importantly, too, and Casey's going to show you this.
Hi,
we-
Casey.
Hello.
We're actually going to be looking for intermix. If you don't know what intermix is when you've got water mixed with oil or transmission fluid in higher water. So we'll pull the dipsticks like this. We're going to be checking for intermix. And when I say intermix, see, that's nice, clean oil. There's no water with that. Once the engine spins around a few times, it actually bubbles up and makes it kind of a foamy. It has a foamy look to it. So
More like a milkshake.
there you go.
Like a milkshake.
Like a milkshake.
Okay.
I like that. I like that. Absolutely.
Did somebody say milkshake?
Somebody did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hadn't heard that.
Absolutely. So real, and also too.
And by the way, these
yes.
are things that anybody can do. Let's say you don't really know a whole lot about cars other than driving one. Me. These are things that I can do. Like, these guys are just like, hey, listen, get your butt up and start looking through this car because you're going to get hosed if not. I hate to use that terminology, but it's true.
Absolutely.
All right, so keep showing us what's going on in here.
I want to show you. So really, somebody had asked that question earlier about a water line on the vehicle. So a lot of times a vehicle's been detailed on the outside at a dealership, or maybe an individual selling you a flood damaged car because they didn't have insurance, like Chris was mentioning earlier. Well, you can grab a flashlight and look on the inside of the vehicle, and we found multiple water lines on the inner fenders on the inside right here and on the back side of the core support. So that's another telltale sign that you've got a flood damaged vehicle. And I'll tell you, one of the best ways to actually do it, if you can just follow me around here, one of the best things you can possibly do is, and actually I tore your vehicle apart here, ripped off the rocker panel cover. We'll put that back together like it was brand new. But this is truly one of the absolute best things that you can do. Take this rocker panel cover and pop it off. It's very simple. You can just snap it off with your hands. And then just take that carpet, pull it back. You actually have, it looks like 1.5 inches of foam underneath here. But we have found so many vehicles that have water still remaining on the floor pan of these vehicles. Now I can't really show you well with this, but I want to show you this. A lot of people think, oh, my carpet's dry on the top. My carpet's dry on the top. It's not flooded. No water got in this vehicle. They are absolutely wrong. And I want to show you why. Your carpet is glued to this thick rubber mat right here. That rubber mat that you see right here, see if I can pull it over a little bit. There you go. That rubber mat will keep water and moisture underneath here, but your carpets will be dry on the top. So that's the reason why people think, oh, my carpets aren't wet, there's no water that got in this vehicle. It's because that rubber's holding the water down underneath this carpet right here.
So Art Escobar has a question. He says, besides flood damage, what other inspections does Auto Exam do? And your charges vary according to services. Is there a website, more locations? They want to know a little bit more about your business.
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely. So yeah, our normal fee is actually $169 for our pre-purchase inspection service. We do not do state inspections. We do pre-purchase automobile inspections to help Houstonians get in a good, dependable, new or used car. That is what we do. That is what we specialize in. It's $169 for a mobile unit to come out to that location. It's $119 normally to have it done here in shop. As well. But again, for Hurricane Harvey victims, anybody that's walking our doors, we're discounting it down to
109.
To 109, and that was Scott's idea. He did that.
And again, guys, tell us real quick. You started doing these inspection checks post Harvey. How many days after the storm, and how many cars have you checked to this day?
Oh, okay. Are
Of those.
you talking about just for Hurricane Harvey?
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. So we're averaging about 250 inspections per week. That's Monday through Saturday, and right now we're at 42 or 43.
42 or 43 flooded cars that we have found so far.
And when you say you found flooded cars, like what are you finding?
We're finding water. I mean, just literal water, underneath, just like Shane was showing her, that underneath those floorboards, in the trunk wells, things like that are just standing water that are there.
Yeah.
And more
And the smell.
Oh my gosh, we haven't even
wait.
talked about the smell.
Please tell me
The
then.
smell.
Describe it.
It's like a river bottom. Okay, it's like a river bottom.
Smells like a river bottom.
It smells like a river bottom. It's just a smell. It's like a combination of mildewed milk and rotten eggs at the same time.
The people who are selling these should be ashamed of themselves.
Absolutely.
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 And really, we've said this
Absolutely.
before, and we've talked about it, and it's also people are writing about it, that if you come across some of this, you need to report it. You really should report it, because if you don't, the next person might end up buying the car, and then what?
Absolutely. And again, take a proactive approach, not a reactive approach. Try to have these things done. The credit unions that I work with locally in Houston are strongly recommending any inspection done before they even finance that vehicle to ensure that you're not getting stuck with a flood damaged vehicle.
Got it. Jeff says, shame on you for knowing what a river bottom smells like. All right, guys. As you can tell, we have a lot of experts here, and we have a lot of stuff we can talk about. We're going to be on TV at 4:45. Then we're going to get back on Facebook after that. So for those of you who didn't get your questions answered, or you didn't see exactly what you wanted, come back in a little bit, and we'll be back on Facebook again. So thanks for joining us.